Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. This week we are in Mojave National Preserve. We're going to try our hand at a little overlanding. We're going to camp in a phenomenal location and get to try our hand at some night photography. We really hope you enjoy our adventure. Hi folks, welcome to another edition of the Travels of Red Rover. Corinne and I are heading for Mojave National Preserve for the weekend, and we're taking you along with us.
Well, we're actually at the border. We've taken a little side road from just the border of California at Nippon Road, and we're going to head down Ivanpah Road towards Sema.
It should be a great weekend. The weather's supposed to be terrific. We're going to do a little sunset photography and maybe some astrophotography this weekend. Just looking for a pretty laid-back, fun weekend in a place that's not as popular as a lot of other locations in and around Las Vegas. So we should have a lot of the areas either to ourselves or pretty much to ourselves. So looking forward to it. We'll have a great day, great weekend, and thanks for coming along. There are several first-come, first-serve campgrounds in Mojave National Preserve. One is called Hole in the Wall. The other is called Mid Hills. There's actually a 9-mile hike that connects the two. They are both traditional backcountry camping, typically provide water, pit toilets, and a relatively level campsite. There's also group and equestrian camping available in Black Hills group campsite. However, this requires advanced reservations. There's a interpretive center relatively close to the campsite at Hole in the Wall. However, it was closed while we were on this visit. Mojave National Preserve also allows boondocking or wild camping out on the old fire roads. This type of camping usually involves being parked at a site that has an old fire ring or has been disturbed for some reason in the past. They only ask that you don't create new campsites and or change the campsites that you find along the way. We don't generally look for difficult overland routes. However, Red Rover is a four-wheel drive vehicle with a elevated suspension and all-terrain tires. So when we do come across them and when we really want to get someplace, we are certainly willing to give it a go. And in this particular trip, we got a chance to try out Red Rover's abilities on quite a few occasions. And as always, she continues to give us great confidence in her ability to handle some of these more challenging roads. The real challenge for us in the van has really been how tall she is. A lot of the off-road areas in the Mojave National Preserve have these juniper trees, and generally it's wide enough for us to get through between them, but it's not unusual for us to find a tall branch that overhangs the road, and it can be a bit of a challenge for us getting underneath the branch.
it's late afternoon. We're about 30 minutes from sunset. And Shawn and I have split up to try a couple different compositions. We're camped here near the Mid-Hills Campground in Mojave National Preserve. And I'm going to try and use the solo tree behind me as my subject, with the sun going down behind the mountainside. So we'll see how that works out.
So, just sitting here waiting for the sun to set. Hopefully those clouds and the clouds in front of me, the clouds behind me, and the clouds in front of me will actually light up. Give us a little reflected color. So this is me sitting here with my fingers crossed, hoping that will happen. On the other hand, we don't want it too cloudy tonight because we really came up here to do a little star photography. And if it gets too cloudy, it will be too difficult to get a good starry sky shot, which is really what we want to get later on. Unfortunately, the wind completely ruined the audio on this section. So the shot is lined up. I'm shooting at ISO 100, aperture priority, probably around about f11. And I'm waiting for the light to develop. I'm thinking at this time that I was going to include the black tree down in the bottom right-hand corner. However, that didn't turn out to be the case. The Mojave National Preserve is a truly wonderful spot to shoot starry sky photographs. The next set of photographs were taken from the top of the mountain as the first of 2 nights of photography. We hope you enjoy. We were up early the next morning and on our way to their next campsite. It turned out that getting down off the mountain was a little bit more of a challenge than actually getting up onto the mountain. And unfortunately, the video doesn't quite give it justice, but it'll give you a sense of us getting down off the mountain. Our next stop was the Kelso Dunes. The road into the dunes themselves is really rough. And once you get inside, the roads can be quite treacherous if it's been raining. The day we were there, it was fairly rutted, but travel across the roads was not too bad once you were into the camping areas. The dunes are quite a large area in the south western part of the park, and they make a great spot for both camping and for getting out and do a little walking. The only issue with walking, of course, is that first, it's hard work in the sand dunes, and second, you're going to end up needing to dump all the sand out of your shoes. But it was a fun stop, and we enjoyed ourselves before we moved on to go and visit the Kelso station, which is a renovated train station that's now used as a visitor center for the Mojave Preserve. Here we are pulling into the parking lot. It's got a good spaces for both RVs and vehicles. It also has excellent restroom facilities and gives you an opportunity to out and get some good information about the preserve from the local rangers. The lobby's made into a small store, and the rest of the train station has been converted into a museum and display of the local wildlife. It's definitely worth the stop and spending a little time getting to know both the history and something of the wildlife in the area.
So we've stopped here at the World War I Veterans Memorial Cross, and this is one of the only World War I memorials that are recognized by National Congress. There was a big legal battle over this. It was first erected in 1934 by a gentleman who was in World War I and came out here to stake some mining claims. And then in the early 2000s, some people had a lawsuit to try and make the cross come down because it was a religious symbol that existed in a national preserve. Fortunately, some people rallied, and there was a long 10-year battle. During that time, the cross was covered up, but the decision was made that a land swap was done with the veterans, and so this small piece of land here now belongs to the veterans in exchange for a piece of land elsewhere that became part of the Mojave National Preserve. So now they're allowed to leave the cross, and this is called Sunrise Rock. It's a nice little area that has a few campsites as well, so if you're into dry camping, this is a nice spot to stay in amongst the Joshua trees.
We didn't do any filming during the evening when we took some sunset and star photographs, but nevertheless, here they are. I hope you enjoy them. This is our camping spot last night. It's down behind the Memorial Cross, as I said earlier. It's an absolutely gorgeous spot. I think it's really one of the things that we really love about having the four-wheel drive elevated clearance van. It gives us a really good opportunity to go back into places like this. So it makes the camping experience even better. So what did you think of our camping trip this weekend?
It was a nice weekend. We found some new camping spots up in the Mid-Hill campground. And it was a nice spot for doing some star photography. The sunset photography was a little bit disappointing because we didn't have the clouds that would enhance the colors. And then yesterday we were trying to take a back road from the Mid-Hills campground over to the Kelso Depot and the sand dunes, but we missed one of the turns, so we ended up doing a lot more driving than we intended. But it was fine. It was a nice sunny day.
Yeah, it was pretty funny coming up to the end of the road and finding a gate at the end of the road preventing people coming in the opposite direction. That was pretty entertaining. First, of course, we thought that the gate was going to be locked. Fortunately, it wasn't locked, and we didn't have to go back the other way.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed coming along with us to the Mojave National Preserve here in California near the Nevada border.
We've had a great time out here. It's been an absolutely glorious weekend. We're actually out having a little walk right through the desert right now.
The weather's been perfect. Feels like a little windstorm's coming up for this afternoon, but we'll be on our way shortly.
So, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to keep track of our videos and follow us, please hit the subscribe button. And always, to be notified of new videos,
hit the notification bell.
So we've enjoyed having you along this weekend. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much for coming, and bye for now.